Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Vasudevasutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. So today I'm going to summarize chapters.
Recording आपने शुरू कर दिया?
हाँ, कर दी. Thank you, Joe. I did. Meena ji requested that I summarize, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to take this one approach. There's another Swamini from Chinmaya Mission. Name is Vimla Nanji, and she took a very interesting approach about asking questions. Hey, what is in this chapter, and then take it from there. And so it may not go by verse like that, but it will give overall picture, and that was the whole idea about it. So one thing that she said was very interesting. She said that meditation is in fashion these days. So everybody's buying this product. She said it has become like a stylish product, and there is a lot of feel good factor in it. She was saying that how everybody discusses like that, and then every day new techniques are coming. Everybody gets so confusing, and then people talk to each other. Have you tried this? Have you tried that? And we know, we can all identify with this, right? I remember that when we first started the Geeta class, there was a lot of discussion on meditation because a lot of people were bringing different things. And anyway, and then she said even these days what is happening is celebrities are, meditating. So, Oprah Winfrey meditate every day, and Clint Eastwood and this and that. So I thought that was very funny what she said. And she said these days also everything, meditation comes with accessories also. Meditation mat and, music and fragrance and and like when we were doing the chapter and Krishna Bhagwan ne bataya ki kaun sa mat chahiye, but he was talking about what, 5,000 years ago they were using and what, our Swamiji said that, hey, just put a blanket, just fold it and that'll do the job, because it is like why we need it. That's why, right? So all those things we have to think about. So she said, and then she, said it in a very interesting way. She said, so after hearing all this, you wonder, is meditation a style or a lifestyle? It's in style. So it's a journey or an end. What is this? Is it means or a goal? Those are good questions. What is it? Or is it a technique, or is it a process or a skill? What is it? Is it like a perishable product, or it's imperishable truth? So, we already have some of the answers, but the way she presented was so good, so I thought I'll share it with you. So we know that a lot of questions got answered in chapter 6, and we discussed it, that anybody who wants to know anything about meditation, if they go through chapter 6 thoroughly, they are going to completely know. There won't be any doubt कि मैं इसको पूछूं, उसको पूछूं, ये करूं या वो करूं. Nothing will be left to our imagination, So this chapter is called Dhyana Yoga. ध्यान, Hindi, Sanskrit में उसको ध्यान बोलते हैं. And there's another name for this chapter also, Atma Sanyam Yoga. So many places it will be Atma Sanyam Yoga. So what does it mean? Self-control. So in this context of meditation, here self-control means withdrawing into the self. Remember we discussed that here Krishna Bhagwan says we have to meditate upon the self. So the whole thing started from chapter 5th actually. The couple of verses of chapters 5 towards the end, verses 27 and 28, they summarize in the sutra form what the meditation was. And then this chapter 6 is like an elaboration of those two verses. So we have done it, all that in detail. So one of the question is, hey, who can meditate? So she said that it's something like this, that we have discussed that our body, mind, and intellect are our instruments, right? So, as a jiva, those are our instruments. So, and we saw and how in Kathopanishad there is a whole analogy of this chariot, that you are taking a journey, you are at a journey, because even in the modern language we say life is a journey, right? So we are taking a journey. So she said that it's like you're taking a long journey, you have to prepare the car. Right? So that's a very important point she made, so mind is the main thing over here, the vehicle over here for meditation. So that has to be prepared. The preparation of mind was very well explained by Lord Krishna in chapter 2, 3, 4, and 5, that how karma yoga is the one that prepares your mind for it. So because of this whole situation, if you go to chapter 6 in the beginning, one more time Krishna Bhagavan emphasized the karma yoga. So he kind of summarized that, hey, this is what you need to do. So basically, in the beginning, he just said that, no, let me put it this way. If we have too many desires and want to do too much here, this, that, and all, then we should still focus on karma yoga first. Because that means I'm not prepared. So, because meditation is more, she said, like being rather than doing. So if you want to do too many things, you won't be able to sit quietly then, because your mind will run into the world too much. So one who has kind of relatively quietened their mind, they are more fit to do meditation. It doesn't mean that you don't start. You can always, start and know where you are. But where you have to work a little more, that's what he was talking about. So you have to take it in the right context, all this. So once you there is a verse in there where Bhagwan says that if you are too preoccupied with doing, then karma yoga is fit for you. And if you have become quieter, then you can sit and meditate. So because then you will be able to absorb yourself in that self that he was talking about. So very important message, universal message is given in here in chapter 6. It's a very famous one, verse 5. Uddharet Atmanan means you lift yourself by yourself. So there are several ways to look at this verse, and in the context of dhyana yoga, it is like you lift yourself from the limited thing that you think you are to your higher self, to your infinite self that is within you only. And it also said, that verse also said, don't fall back. Okay. So I'm going to go a little faster, but I will keep mentioning the verses, if somebody wants to go back and study that. But I'm not going to go through all that because I won't be able to, because I'm summarizing. So then the question is, in this, we all need like a best friend when we are taking a journey, so that we can, they can help us. Who is the best friend in this journey? We have understood. It's our own mind, right? So in verse 5 and 6, he also talked about that the mind can be your friend or it can be your worst enemy. It can be your best friend or your worst enemy. So how can it be? Because if mind is under control, in your own control, then it's your best friend. If it's not in your control, it becomes your worst enemy in this journey. So that's what we have to remember. And then she also called another, that Vimla Nanji, she said that she calls this chapter Meditation Demystified. All these ideas that we have, it all gets shattered over here because the wrong notions that we, kind of think in our mind about meditation. So now the question is, she said...
For 1 second.
I'm sorry?
Can I interrupt?
Yes,
for
of course.
1 second?
Yes.
When you said mind is, your own friend or your enemy, and at one place I thought it said that you have God's grace, how you use it. So that means the higher power or the higher intellect, that's what we are saying, right? It's how you use that.
So, yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to confirm with you.
Yeah, true. It's going to come. as we go further, because he called it buddhi grayam. Means you have to control your lower mind with your higher mind. And then in Kathopanishad, the sequence is coming that your indriyas, first it is the objects, then is the body, then it's the indriya, then it's the mana, and then it's a buddhi, and then it goes even further over there, Mahan Atma and all that. We are not discussing that right now. But so buddhi, and the buddhi has to be a pure buddhi. That's another very important thing, because you can always hold on to the wrong ideas and think you are doing so great, right?
So that's it. Okay, when we say the mind is your best friend, so if intellect is not purified, let's put it that way, then what happens? Because then
you will be doing wrong things. You will be doing all wrong things. So that's why Krishna Bhagavan warned it, that purify your mind first with karma yoga to a certain extent.
Yes.
Okay? Because otherwise you will sit in meditation and you may be doing something that is not really going to take you to your journey.
Right.
So it's like your car, analogy of the car. Your car has a lot of issues in it. It's going to break down in the middle. It's not going to take you there. So your body and your mind will break down. It will start running here and there, and you will start meditating upon wrong things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many things come under this. That's why every verse is a loaded verse, and it has to be referred to with other verses for it to get its potency. We cannot take like the verse by itself. It is connected with a lot of different things. That's why this is a good idea to see it together, because then it will relate to each other. And that's why when I heard the Vimlananji's lecture, she was jumping from one to another, but it was still very cohesive, because all of them refer to each other. Okay.
Yes.
So now she was saying that, hey, who is a meditator? So she said, obviously body is important, but it is not the main thing in the meditation, right? Because body has to follow what the mind says, if the mind is higher. So, and then it cannot be like the indriyas, because indriyas are also at the lower state. So mind is the main thing. But mind also, actually it is the jiva that meditates. That's what she was trying to get at. That Atma doesn't need to meditate. It's already pure, right? And these other things are the instruments. So who is meditating? It's that ego or the jiva is the one who is the meditator, okay? Here. So we should understand who is meditating. And the next question is, what is the object of meditation, right? So now we learned without any doubt that Krishna Bhagavan wants you to meditate on the self. That's the final goal. And so now if I have to meditate on the self, what is the nature of self? What is self? Because here today, Sheilaji is not here. She asked that question, right? So I told her we have to wait, but then I realized that, and even Vimlananji pointed out, in 2nd chapter, it was already mentioned, few verses, about, there was a verse 17 of chapter 2, that avinashi tu tad viddhi, like this factor is all pervasive, indestructible. Nobody can destroy this. So there are a couple of hints already given to us that what is this self? So she said, if you don't know what self is, then what's going to happen? In the name of meditation, you will be doing something else only. So that's why it is very important. So on what you meditate, that's a very important. She said, of course, there are saguna sadhana is there, or saguna upasana they call it, like a sound of Om or form of Lord and all that. He's not completely saying, hey, don't do that. But we should know the whole picture, that these are saguna upasana, and then I have to graduate from it. These are very helpful in the beginning, but you have to graduate. So this is the most important thing, that you have to meditate upon the self. Remember that. And now the question is, what is the purpose of meditation, or the preparation, we call it, So then there is a verse 12 where he said, Atma Shuddhi ke liye, Atma Shuddhaye. So she was explaining that how the meditation itself also becomes a technique. Because you have to start somewhere. So what Krishna Bhagavan's advice was, you bring your mind to a certain level of purity. It's like entrance exam hoti hai, right? The fellow who's entering the college, he doesn't know everything yet. But is his mind capable of learning? That's what they find out by IQ or whatever they have, their exams and all that, interview and all they do. So that's how you bring your mind to a certain level. And after that, the meditation itself will purify your mind. Because she brought out something very, very interesting. And, we had talked about it, that she said there are certain subtle, deep vasanas in us that don't go away just with karma yoga. They are very deep rooted. Maybe in many different janmas it became part of us and things like that, right? She's saying that in the intense meditation, that will get exhausted. Because you have heard of it, that when people who meditate regularly in the correct fashion, their mind gets more and more purified. Because this is what happens. The deep-rooted vasanas get completely start going away. So that's a very important point, she said. And she said there are two meanings of Atma Shuddhe. One was this particular thing that I just mentioned. And the other one is, all these wrong notions that we have, removal of all the anatma, meaning that we superimpose upon ourselves. Wrong notions, wrong ideas. I'm the body, I'm this, I'm that. पूरी जिंदगी हम लोग ऐसे ही बिताते हैं, राइट? एंड पता नहीं पुराने जन्मों में, पहले वाले जन्मों में भी हम ऐसे सोचते होंगे. So all these mithya jnanam, she said, wrong knowledge also gets removed in this. Atma Shuddhi ho jati hai. So, and then with that process, you will realize your own self as a pure Satchidanand Brahman. That's the goal, right? And so what is the next thing is, what kind of lifestyle is conducive to meditation? Okay, somebody may be meditating for half an hour, 15 minutes, an hour, whatever, when it suits them. So then can I do anything I want for the next 23 hours? Can I binge watch? She said. Or, she said, imagine you watch a horror film and then you sit down to meditate. What are you going to see? That gives you an answer, And then it's like she said that in very good instruction in this particular context is given, and we all know those verses well because we did it. Verse 17, yukta ahara viharasya, appropriate eating, sleeping, working, and entertainment. Balanced life. Itna kam bhi nahi khao, jada bhi mat khao. When we talked about khao, it also means with all five senses. That's a very important thing. So ye nahi ki khali khane ke bare mein bol rahe hain. It's like, too much sitting on the phone or too much indulging with your other senses. Music hi sunte rahe hain pura din. Like balanced. If you're not going to be balanced, you won't be able to meditate according to him. And then I think that I remembered Buddha's middle path. When Buddha said you have to have a middle path. All fits in over here. And then, so if you live a balanced life, that becomes conducive for meditation. So now the question is, what exactly is meditation? How can I meditate? So then Bhagwan explained, and so she another point she said that people get very impatient about it. Very quickly they say, oh, na mere se to nahi hota ye. Nobody wants to spend time towards doing it, she said. Jaldi se bol denge, hey, this is not for me. Quickly, cutting. So he's saying that what it is that many times what people think that the preparation for meditation, they start calling it meditation. We have discussed it, right? One is like preparing your mind, but that's not really a meditation. So she said that sometimes people, the moment they kind of sitting quietly and close their eyes, people will start around them, start saying, "Arey, this person is meditating." She's saying what he's doing inside, only Bhagwan knows, So she was just warning that, just because you close your eyes and sit quietly, that's not meditation. Okay? So now Bhagwan starts with the outer preparation first. Okay, how to meditate after preparation. We did those verses. So, verse 11, Shucho Deshe and all that. Hey, it has to be right time, conducive environment, especially, she said, in the initial stages. This is very, very important for the people who are first time attempting to do it, because once you master it, she said, you can do it anywhere. But if you don't do these things in the beginning, you will fail at it. So this kind of helps you. So we remember all those things, right? Krishna Bhagavan has said, you can go back to those verses. I'm not going to go too much in detail. It has to be clean place. And the idea is that if you sit somewhere where the mosquitoes and bugs are biting you and all that, you won't be able to, unless you become such a yogi that nothing bothers you, but we're not there yet. So just remember that. And not too much over sound, don't start meditating in the middle of the marketplace, some kind of chalk or something. So all those things. And then asana, he talked about that asana. It should not be too hard, neither too soft, because then you'll be uncomfortable. And then Swamiji was saying that how, it should absorb, suppose if you're sitting, if it's too damp or something, I think you won't be able to. You'll become uncomfortable. So ऊंचा भी नहीं होना चाहिए, नीचा भी नहीं होना चाहिए. कहाँ जाके ऊपर आसमान में कोई cliff पे जाके बैठ गए, I want to meditate, then you'll be afraid I'm going to fall. Common sense, okay, basically, okay. And then Vimlananji was saying that when she was learning from Swamiji, our Gurudev, Chinmayananji, one thing he really emphasized on, be still. And she said for the whole year he kept saying that. Because they call it asan siddhi. Like, मैं बैठूं, so I should just make a resolve, I'm not going to move. It's very hard. You can try because वही टाइम पे itch शुरू होएगी, वही टाइम पे ये होगा, वो होगा, फिर आसन सिद्धि नहीं होती है. तो बहुत जल्दी आदमी distract हो जाता है. So you have to practice that asan siddhi also. Hey, sit down, without moving. खुजली हो, कुछ भी हो, you don't move. Something like this. Because here Krishna Bhagavan had mentioned in verse 13, achalam and sthiram. Twice he used that word to become still. Because the whole idea is if your body is still, to that extent the mind start getting still. The body is very restless, mind also start getting restless, So that's what he was talking about. So that was a very important point. And then there is one word he used, nirashi. You have to become nirashi. मतलब हिंदी में negative connotation है कि कोई निराश हो गया तो मतलब depressed हो गया. Not from that perspective, okay. Nirashi means no expectations. She said कि we have such crazy notions about about meditation that keep discussing with each other. Oh, मेरा meditation आज बहुत अच्छा हुआ, नहीं हुआ, मुझे light दिखाई दी, ये हुआ, वो हुआ, some sound came. God knows, people have all these funny. I said, don't have those kind of expectations when you sit down. She's saying that, and also people get hooked to this feel-good factor. खाली उसी पर टक गए, फिर you will not reach where Krishna Bhagavan wants you to go, So he's saying all these crazy information keep popping in your head. You have to drop all that. And then there is another word he used, aparigraha. So on one hand, aparigraha मतलब बहुत सारी चीजों को इकट्ठा कर देना. परिग्रह, sorry. परिग्रह means इकट्ठा करना. अपरिग्रह मतलब छोड़ देना उसको. So one is, when you are sitting in meditation, there's a detachment. At that particular time for half an hour, you're not going to be attached to anything. No relationship, no nothing. Just you're a meditator. That's it. But in this context, all the wrong information also drop it. That was another meaning of aparigraha, she said, which was really good. And then there is another word he used in verse 14, vigata bhihi. Means koi fear nahi hona chahiye hame. Like, suddenly you say, if my mind is folded, where will I be? I'm going to lose myself or something. How will I know that half an hour is over? Say, we want you to lose yourself. Lose yourself, for God's sake. Because, these fears will come. Those are natural fears, and these are all for the beginners, And then the another word he used was the brahmachari vrata. In verse 10, that's also very important because who is sitting for the meditation? What is the identity of that person? Because brahmachari means जो ब्राह्मण में विचरण करता है. Because हम लोग को ब्रह्मचारी मीनिंग का हमने उसका एकदम different meaning लिया है कि the one who is like is celibate or somebody who is like a swami or something. Okay, that's a one meaning that we kind of in the language we use, but that's not what it meant over here. When they say brahmachari vrata means at that point I'm only a seeker. You have to drop all other identities and relationship, because she said she gave a very good example. She said, who is sitting for the meditation? If a mother will sit for a meditation, you know who she's going to meditate upon, her child, right? So your role is very important. Some people have another way to put this thing. At that time, it's only you and God. No, nothing else is important at that time. That's what it means by brahmachari vrata. So, and then there is another word he used, Krishna, mat paraha, in verse 14. So what it means is that when I'm sitting for meditation, that is my highest goal for that moment, or not for that half an hour, whatever time. That's the very, very important thing that I have to tune my mind to, that right now this is the most important task of my life. Because if you think any other thing is more important, your mind will run there. मुझे ये करना है, मुझे वो करना है. Moment some other thought will overpower कि oh that's more important right now, you will not be able to sit. So अगर कोई बहुत important काम है उसको करके फिर बैठना. Don't start meditating upon that. At that time, at that particular moment, when for that particular time, you have to be matparaha, means highest goal. So and the other question is, okay, a little more I want to know. What is meditation? So he gave this 2-step thing, very famous verse, yato hi nischarati, verse 26, where he said, withdrawing your mind from the world, from the external world, and absorbing within. That's the process that we have to, that's what the main focus is over here. And then once you are done that, remain within the self, don't project out. Those are his words. I'm just saying in English translation of those verse 26. So then, now the question is, okay, if mind has become my friend, what is the role of my mind in this meditation? So he said, yeah, this is where, Meenaji, your question will get answered. Buddhi graye. You hold on with your buddhi to your lower mind. But what kind of buddhi? But there is one more very important thing. Towards the end, we have to drop the buddhi also. So buddhi is used like a pole to jump high. Like that. Jumping high means the guy runs with the pole, puts the pole down and then takes the sahara of the pole to jump over and drops the pole. That's exactly what the buddhi's role is. So what type of buddhi they are talking about? Of course, pure buddhi. But what entails in pure buddhi? The buddhi that does not have those, we call it for children, we call it 6 sharks in us, in our mind. Kam, krodh, lobh, moh, mad, matsarya. So obviously, we are not at the stage कि सारा का सारा ही निकल गया और हम एकदम प्योर हो गए, तब तो हम लोग सीधा ब्रह्मन ही बन जाएंगे. To an extent, उसको कम करो. That's what this karma yoga helps us to do. Gets rid of these things, 6 sharks. And then also the buddhi has to be viveki buddhi, means that can distinguish between real and unreal, atma and anatma, that whatever we have learned. Because, like sometimes, if you superficially study Geeta, they may just read it, but they still don't believe in that. I don't know whether it's really there. If you have all these doubts, it's not a viveki buddhi. Firmly, we have to believe that real and unreal, So, and it's called sukshma buddhi also, subtle mind, And another very important, ekagra buddhi, she said. जिसको concentrate कर सके, focus कर सके. And we know in the worldly things also, if we want to get something achieved, we have to have a ekagra buddhi. So इधर के लिए और भी चाहिए हमें ekagra buddhi. So obviously mind that is restless will not be able to meditate. So these are all the things that buddhi helps us to keep it under control. So another thing which Vimlananji, she said, that with this buddhi, a lot of patience is required, because Krishna Bhagavan already said, shane shane, slowly it's going to happen. It's not going to happen overnight. So, and then another thing that she said it, and the way she said it was really funny. She said, guaranteed failure in 100% when you first time sit for meditation. Yeah, this is one thing that guaranteed failure. Second time also, third time also, fifth time also, God knows how many times. So just expect. So that's why she said, don't have them high expectations. So then each day you have to deal with your mind. she said. So that's why it is, in the beginning it's going to be guaranteed. So you need endless enthusiasm, she said. But if Krishna Bhagwan is giving so much importance to it, उतना तो बनता है कि हम लोग को ट्राई करना चाहिए. एंड में उन्होंने बोला ना ये सबसे ज़्यादा हाई बात है. So maybe enthusiasm we can get it from there. Hey, if we keep doing, but he gives you tips how to do it. It's not like उन्होंने खाली ये बोल के नहीं छोड़ दिया कि it is a important thing, so you must do it. But he told you exactly how to do it also. So he's saying that sometimes we might feel, oh, I'm not in the mood, I don't want to do it. This everything doesn't matter. Do it again, she said. So that's what it is. Even if we are failing, don't give up because we are failing. That's what she was trying to say. A very good point, she said. She's saying that, and then if you practice with the grace of God, then once we get the taste of it, she said, a point comes that you start seeing the benefit of it, and then you will start liking it, then you start getting joy from it. Once you reach to that stage, nobody will have to push you, she said. And she said also, other joys will be pale and compared to this. So we have to bring ourselves to that stage when we do this. Just have patience, a lot of patience. And we also need a lot of purusharth. And that's when, that same verse comes back again, Uddhirit the Atmana, verse 5. Lift yourself by yourself, because our own efforts is required. Guru and all that, he can give you tips. It's something like, if I want to appease my hunger, I have to eat. Nobody else can eat. Somebody can prepare the food also, but I'll have to eat. See what I'm saying? So that's why the effort has to be mine. You can learn the technique from Krishna Bhagwan, your guru, all that, but I'll have to do it myself. So these are all the different qualities of buddhi she was talking about. There is another quality called dhriti in Sanskrit. Dhriti means a strength to control senses and the reactions of the external stimuli. Because, all that disturbs us, right? So dhriti is something, I don't get disturbed. कुछ भी सुना, कभी-कभी न्यूज़ में भी कोई सुन के एकदम upset हो जाते हैं and all that. Dhriti is the one who keeps the balance. So all these sukshmata, shuddhata, dhriti, all these are required for meditation in our buddhi. So now the question comes, what are the obstacles that we will face, right, in the meditation? So she said that one obstacle which is not mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, because Arjun didn't have that problem, is falling asleep. Because he was at the battleground. वहाँ पर तो वो सो नहीं सकता, right? He was so charged up. He's saying that's why he didn't even ask Krishna Bhagwan कि मैं वो उसका. He's saying, but most of the time, when first time people they attempt this, बड़े relax हो जाते हैं, सो ही जाते हैं. And he's saying if somebody is doing a guided meditation, सब तो बहुत ज़्यादा chance है, because the guy is also saying relax, सो जाएगी. So he said that's one thing that you have to be cautioned. But the other one is very obvious that Arjuna asked that chanchalami mana Krishna. Remember that verse 34? He's saying that it's a universal problem. Everybody has it, restlessness of mind. And the way he described it, pramati means it's turbulent, balavat, strong, drudham means unyielding, stubborn, like a stubborn child. Now our grandson is becoming like close to 2, so they call it terrible 2s. Now he started becoming stubborn, so I see this. So the mind is like that, stubborn child, You have to trick the mind. So Arjun said, it's not going to listen to me. It's not controllable. You are telling that, you absorb your mind in self. I don't know how to deal with my mind. So we all feel that way, right? So then Krishna Bhagwan says, I agree with you, but, and then in verse 36, there is something, कि उसका उपाय है, शक्यो upayatah, word upay use किया हुआ है in Sanskrit में. She said that every problem has a solution. Okay, so that's what we have to remember. What is the solution? Abhyas and vairagya, he says. Abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagyena cha guriyate. Practice. So she said that Gurudev, our Chinmayananji, used to say that meditation is a knack, it's a skill. He described that. So every skill can be mastered according to him. So just look at it that with practice, every skill. We know that. Even, I didn't know much cooking when I got married, but over so many years, now I can cook. I can, if somebody tells me to make a roti, I can just whip it out in 5 minutes, skill. I master it. So that's what he's saying. That, okay, you can do it if you just keep trying, practicing. So he's saying this, when people say, oh, I don't know how to do it. Hey, have you given it a good chance? Have you practiced it? Because she said for some reason, puja and japa and all that looks much more easier. Because, you get a kind of immediate result. थोड़ा सा मिल जाता है, शांत हो जाता है मन. And I was thinking about it. पूजा सब लोग को बहुत पसंद है. Because end में प्रसाद मिलता है, खाना मिलता है. यहाँ कुछ नहीं. यहाँ का प्रसाद है कि भाई शांति, मन की शांति मिलेगी. Which is a bigger prasad. But it takes time. It's not like, it's a subtle kind of thing. So I thought that was an interesting point she said. And she said another important problem that people face is that we have to form a thought that I am Brahman, I'm infinite. You think that how to form that thought? It seems so impossible. We feel so limited in our life that, it's hard to get to that stage. So that's why that's why we have to keep doing that abhyas. And, we discussed it that vairagya is once the knowledge gets firm in us, that's when the vairagya comes. When we know that the world is manifestation only, unreal, and Atma is real, that's when it's going to come. And then the question come, okay, what is the result of meditation? So Krishna Bhagavan mentioned that in verse 15, Paramam Shantim, endless joy you get, And then there is a Christian word, if you have heard of a beatitude, they call it. Beatitude means peace that passeth all understanding. Means peace itni pure peace ki nothing will affect it. Who will not want that? So we always get disturbed by so many things. Once you get that, nothing gonna disturb you. So that is, and then other word he uses, paramam labham, supreme gain you will get. That's verse 22. He mentioned that. So now the question is that, okay, the person who has come to that stage is able to meditate at the highest level and connect to the self. What is the vision of that person, of that realized master, who's achieved it, the goal? So then the vision is mentioned in verse 29 and 30. Sarva bhutat atmanam. Sarva bhutani chatmani. He sees, how does he see the world? He sees the self in me is the self in all. That's how the final experience he has. So he sees himself in everyone and everyone in himself. That oneness suddenly comes in him. And that is the most beautiful vision that Bhagavad Gita is talking about. And then what happens? He sees Atma, Sarvatra wo same Atma ko dekhta hai. I forgot to mention the verse over here. But there is a verse where he says that he sees, you become sensitive to everybody, and the kindness and compassion bubbles through you because you see that oneness. So that's why the real compassion comes when you feel the oneness. And because we got this great vision, that's why that compassion flows from you, And then, so how are they to the world outside? How do they interact with the world? They see the same Atma, so they have equipoise with everybody. And then, so there are 3 different things always mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. At the body level, it's like heat and cold. Okay? And at the mind level, sukh and dukh. Because mind get dukhi and sukhi. And at the intellect level, man and apman. किसी ने मुझे मान दिया, किसी ने मेरा अपमान किया, that is at the intellect level. उस सब में वो सम हो जाता है. He won't get affected by all these. So now we have to understand in the correct context. ऐसा नहीं कि वो कोई self realize होता है उसको ठंडी लगती नहीं है. उसमें वो dwell नहीं करता है. Because he knows, it's a changing thing and all that. So he doesn't dwell on it. If he can do something, he will do. If he cannot do, he will accept it. That's how. And then the other word he uses, samaloshta kanchana in verse 8, that a lump of earth, a stone or a gold, is same, but you have to see this in the right context again. He gives the right value to the right thing. ऐसा नहीं कि वो gold लेगा तो फेंक देगा. He will know that gold can, get him some, useful utility is there of gold, but he will not over, क्या बोलना चाहिए, importance to it. Like किसी के लिए money भगवान बन जाता है or something like that. So he will know what value to give what. He gets more smart, I would say. And then how is he towards the people? And there is a beautiful verse 9 when he said ki all 4 different kind of people, or 3 different kind mainly: friend, enemy, or indifferent. Somebody, he doesn't care about you. सब में वो समान दृष्टि रखता है. They're same to everybody. He doesn't get carried away, in other words. कोई लोग वो किसी ने दुश्मनी में इतना carried हो जाते हैं, पूरी जिंदगी भर grudge रखेंगे किसी से, things like that. He sees God in everybody, so उसको कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है कोई कुछ भी हो. So that's how समदर्शी हो जाता है. And then obviously internally he doesn't have likes and dislikes also. That's another reason that he remains the same. So now after all this, Arjun has anxiety. And we did that anxiety. What if I don't reach my goal? And in between only I die. Will everything get completely kind of vanish? Do I have to start all over again? Or what if I get distracted? Either I die or I get distracted. I came to a certain point and then I dropped it. Then will all my effort go waste? So Bhagwan says, don't worry. यहाँ पर सेंधियों को मैं बोलते हैं ना, no worries. No worries and don't worry. इतना assurance दिया that anybody who is walking on this path, उसकी कभी दुर्गति नहीं होगी. और जो भी उसने किया है वो कभी वेस्ट नहीं जाएगा, according to him. And then there is I won't go in detail. We saw that how he gets born in different situation, different, you can go back and read it or something. I'll just kind of touch upon it. So he said, in verse 44, he said that Purva Bhasena, that whatever you have done in the past, it will be carried forward and you will connect with it in the future. And she was talking about, because she is a Swamini, she come across, some children and all that. She said, young people she came across who could sit for meditation for hours. And if you ask them, who taught you? They said, I just know how to do it. That reminded me of this one Radha Swami. He's a Swami from Hare Krishna. And right now he's in Mumbai. He's the head of one of the Mumbai temples. His life story is in a book. It's so interesting. He was born in a Jewish family in Chicago. And he said other kids would go and play and he would go in his basement, sit in the Padmasana and meditate. And his family thought he was totally crazy. And they didn't support him. They thought he was nuts. And then when he was like a teenager, he went to Europe. And then other people are going to the bar and drinking and things like that. He would go in a gufa and meditate over there. And that's where he heard the voice, go to India. And then he hitchhiked to India. It took him 3 months to read. Absolutely crazy story. But if you read that story, you will know this is Purva Sanskar. कहाँ तो Jewish family में, he said that he wanted to eat sitting on the floor also. He said that he didn't like to sit on the table, and they were very upset with him, his family, because, they wanted to sit on the table, and he said, no, I want to sit on the floor, because some Purva Sanskaras were there. So like that, she was talking about that we have this evidence that this can happen, that, hey, carried forward. So basically idea, nothing is lost. So she said, all our anxiety and worries are taken up by Bhagwan. He said, don't worry. Okay? And then finally what Bhagwan says is that among all the different paths, we did that recently, so you remember it, that this is the best path. And among all different kind of devotees, among Jnani, Bhakta and all, this is the highest one. Okay, the one who does this. And so it is the highest vocation, doing this meditation. So he's saying that's why Krishna Bhagavan said in verse 46, Tasmat Yogi Bhavarjuna, please become a meditator. He's appealing to him. So whatever path you are taking, you should culminate into this, connecting to the self. That's the whole idea. And then in the last verse he says, Shraddhavan bhajte yumam, if with faith you connect with me, then success is guaranteed. That could be one of the meanings of it. And the other one we saw, the deeper meaning is, when we say Shraddhavan bhajte, that bhajan means giving up my, lower identity and connecting with the higher. That's a true bhajan, rather than doing some hysterical singing and all that. So this is the whole chapter. that I try to summarize. If anybody has any comment or question. So Meena ji, did that help? I can hear you.
Definitely, yes, yes. We talked about who to meditate on, but from 7 onwards, that's what we are gonna.
It will get better. Yes, we already have some tips from chapter 2 that what Atma is. So, but it definitely the next 6 chapters are going to help, because the way I looked at it was, it soaks deeper into you that what the Atma is and what the Brahman is, because there are so many different ways he approached it. That he didn't leave any stone unturned. From the worldly perspective, from the mind perspective, and from so many different ways. And prakriti, hey, what is nature? He called it is a lower self and higher self. Yeah. So many different ways. And in the chapter, even later on, even after the 12th chapter 13 is also like field and its knower.
Seer and see.
Yeah. So and all that. So it continues till the chapter 18 for sure. So that's why when that Nikhilanandji talked about that Bhagavad Gita, you have to take it as a whole. You can't just pluck one flower and do it. So I think what we are doing in this group is going to help us, that try to understand every verse is important.
Yes.
If you think about it, it was no word was mentioned over there which was just useless. It was पूरा सार उन्होंने 700 वर्स में दिया है. तो किसी को अगर भगवद गीता अच्छे से आ गई, वो ठोक बजा के बोल सकता है मुझे वेदांता आता है. At least I know.
I am sort of. I realize it.
Yeah. Means at least you have a glimpse of what Vedanta is, right? Because he's already even the sar of Vedas is in Upanishad, and the sar of Upanishad, Krishna Bhagwan brought it, and he brought it from a very human perspective, common man's perspective. Or this Arjun's question, hey, my mind is so strong, I don't know what to do. Hey, what if I die? All those questions come to us. Because like in our 10th grade, one of the girls asked, hey, why did Krishna Bhagwan, not teach this to Duryodhana? Because then he would have not done the war. That was a good question from a 15-year-old. Arjun was already a pure soul. So it's like, hey, Duryodhana doesn't want to listen. You can only tell somebody who is ready. And even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna Bhagwan didn't speak in chapter 1. He kept total silent until Arjun in chapter 2 said, I'm confused. Usko khud hi ko pata chal gaya ki main confused hu. And I think I'm thinking all wrong. And I don't know whether to do this or that. You become my teacher. Suddenly उसने guru का पद दे दिया वहाँ पे. Then he started talking. So that's why I think that the whole Bhagavad Gita is very important. It's going to get better as we go to chapter 7.
Umaji, I have Prabhakar here.
Yeah, Hari Om.
Yeah, I have, I'm feeling a little bit better.
Good, I'm glad to hear.
That's the reason I'm not, I just did not open my video.
That's fine.
I just have 2 questions. One is, Krishna Bhagavan has been encouraging Arjuna to do karma yoga. That means he need to fight against the Adharma, against the Kauravas. At the same time, he is also, in this chapter, you mentioned that become a meditator. Meditation does it contradict, or is it synchronizes? How do we really interpret this?
Okay, so the way you interpret it, that here, it's like when he told Arjuna to fight, we should not say as though he's just speaking to Arjuna. He's telling him to do his duty correctly.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
yes.
You are a doctor, so your duties are different. I'm a homemaker and I'm a Balvia teacher. My duties are different, right? Like that. So everybody's duty, we have to do it correctly. So what it is that karma yoga is the initial practice to purify the mind, But anybody who establish in the highest will be able to do their duty absolutely the best. Then you're not going to have any doubts. मैं ये करूं या वो करूं. Arjun had a doubt, right? So clarity will come to you, and instinctively you will know that what the right thing to do and all is. So that's what this whole fits in the context. They're just taking Arjuna's example because Arjuna is more, we identify more with Arjuna. Hey, I have to do this work, I have a very difficult thing. किसी के भी लाइफ को पूछो, उसको लगता है कि मेरा जॉब सबसे ज़्यादा डिफिकल्ट है. हाउस वाइफ को लगता है उसका सबसे ज़्यादा है, मदर को लगता है उसका सबसे ज़्यादा है, डॉक्टर को लगता है उसका सबसे ज़्यादा है, right? Basically, he's just saying that once you establish in this knowledge, that's where you'll be able to do your job the best. And to establish in that knowledge, the path is karma yoga, but that's not the final goal. Goal is merging with the Brahman.
So the karma yoga is actually a preparation for acquiring the knowledge.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Reaching the goal.
Yes.
But having reached the goal, then you come back and you do what is necessary, what is important for in the community to do it. It is like a circle.
Yes.
It is like a circle.
Absolutely. You got it. It's like a circle because the person is not going to, there are some people who will sit in the gufa and meditate. Unka path alag hai, nivrutti path. But most of us, we will be coming back to the world. And, even the people who want to sit in the gufa, unke guru unko dhakka maar ke bhejte hain. Hey, don't sit in the, go do some work. If you see all the biographies, you will see that. And sometimes there is exception. Like in Chinmayananji's case, his guru said, why are you wasting your time? And he said, no, I'm feeling this strong urge that whatever I have learned, I want to go and teach people. So therefore I gave him the blessing. But if you see Yogananda and, some of the other people, Vivekananda and all that, their guru said, hey, you got a job to do. Don't just sit and meditate 24 hours, Go and, because it feels very good. No, you got to go and sweat and blood you have to give him because there are people waiting for you to help them. So what basically it's over here that it's called Brahma Vidya and Yoga Shastra, it's called, this Bhagavad Gita. Brahma Vidya is that highest goal, merging with the Brahma. Yoga Shastra means the means to get there. It's a Shastra. It's like, जैसे बोलते हैं ना कि अर्थ शास्त्र, how to become an economist, okay?
Like a science.
Yes, science of yoga. There you go. You got the right word. So this is the science of yoga is you start with the karma yoga. That's how you look at it.
My second question, it may be a silly question, but the point is that now in the meditation, when one does the meditation, the ultimate goal is to know the self.
Correct.
Right. And the self is not tainted or by what you are doing. Correct? Yeah, just for the meditation purpose, you actually, by meditation, you know the self, and then the self-realization will give us the should I say, the power for equanimity, and then have the lasting peace, and etc. So you could be a very useful person to the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah, am I right in thinking that way?
Yeah, absolutely. And other way I was thinking is, it's like once we learn more what the self is, and then you are soaking yourself in that kind of thing, and then it's going to tell you that at Atma level, your Atma and Paramatma is one, right? At the very base level. So it's like, you are putting your whole persona in that kind of atmosphere, you keep getting purified. It's like, if I want to get warm, I got to sit near the heat. Then heat will get transferred to me, right? So being in that kind of mode will purify us, and we will get closer and closer. And then one point comes, and in Kathopanishad it is mentioned, and when we did the other Upanishad and all that you can knock and stand there, but in the end the grace of the infinite will bring you in. And then the example is the sleep, that I cannot force myself to sleep. I can just prepare myself, and Nidra Devi then will be kind and will suck me into the sleep, So, Purusharth you keep doing, and that's why Krishna Bhagwan said that withdraw yourself, while you're meditating, withdraw yourself from the world, sit in that, Atma kind of knowledge of self, and then it will happen. Just don't go out, right? He just said that don't fall back into the world. Yeah. So that's the whole goal.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Maji, is that the point where the self will reveal it to yourself?
Yes, that's another way they say that the self will reveal, because it's saying that, okay, we are finite, that is infinite. हमारा कोई वैसे बराबरी नहीं है. So infinite, जब सोएगा कि I'm ready, it will reveal itself. So there are so many beautiful poetic way to approach this, right? That all the saints and sages tell. So whatever is in our hand, we keep doing that. And even for sleep, I've heard that if you eat wrong food, you won't get sleep, because then your stomach will be all upset and all that. So if I want a good sleep, I got to do everything right in the day, then I will get a good sleep. Same way with meditation, that it's not like a 1 hour thing and then you forget and go do whatever the hell you want in the next 23 hours. Then it's not going to work. You got to change your lifestyle.
Lekin, Maji, you change every day once you do meditation. You are not the same person.
It's something like, chicken came first or egg came. It's like if you meditate, certain things you will automatically start dropping.
Yes.
Right? You think, what useless stuff, I don't want to waste my time. Agree. So that's why it said that Atma Shuddhaye, that hey, the meditation itself will also take you further.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we have to take all these things with the right context.
I want to mention one more thing. Swami Sarpriyananda, he said, when he was learning to meditate and he was going to different places, one guru told him how to meditate. So he said 3 things. Hilo mat, bolo mat, socho mat.
Very good. Excellent. I'm going to write this down. This is very good one. किसी को अगर half a second में बोलना हो, क्या करो? So हिलो मत, बोलो मत और सोचो मत. Very good. So this is what, Swami Chinmayananji told all those people who are trying to become Swamis, sit still. Sit still. So he's saying that, what do we do more? Go sit still. That's what still maybe ये तीनों आ जाता है. Yeah, true. Very nice. Anybody else has any good wisdom?
I don't have wisdom, but I just wanted to ask you. I mean, if you're sitting, as you mentioned, even if you itch or something, if you feel cold, if I don't do anything about it, my attention, my mind is going to go there.
See, so that's you have to evaluate it yourself. A stage comes, that even if the itch comes and you have that strong sankalp that you're not gonna do, believe me, it'll go away. But you have to bring your mind to that. But in the beginning stages, I would say, if you're feeling scratchy, then scratch and sit, because otherwise your mind will go. If your mind is again and again going over there, it's not worth it. True. But what they were trying to, that's why it's called Asan Siddhi. By practice, you can increase the time. Because I know that if I see myself, like 30 years ago, I couldn't even close my eyes for 2 minutes. I would start feeling so uncomfortable. Now I can do longer. See what I'm saying? With practice, it does make a difference. Even like I remember that when I was a teenager, I wanted to learn sitar. So I went to the class. And the first 2 or 3 classes, he just told us how to sit and how to hold the sitar with one hand. That was a whole class. How to balance it, because it's a big instrument, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's something like this, that you are making your body conducive, because जो बैठ ही नहीं सकता वो नहीं कर पाएगा. जैसे जब भी छोटे बच्चे भी को भी स्कूल में सबसे पहले यही सिखाते हैं, to sit straight with the back straight. Like in our Chinmaya mission, they said, don't sit like a question mark.
Yes.
Like bent like this. So, because there's some kind of, the people who do yoga and all, they know that the energy flows better when it's straight spine.
Yes.
Yeah. So all those, some people believe that this whole chapter is about Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali. That Patanjali, got it from here. Everything, that all the eight steps, yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, samadhi. All is it's mentioned in chapter 6. All of those. So. Any other question, comment? Okay, then I'll close Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was great. I enjoyed doing it, and I'm glad. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyah mokshayishyami ma shuchah. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.